The beneficiary nations are experiencing significant effects from China's Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. It is the largest transcontinental infrastructure project in the history of economic development. Due to Sri Lanka's strategic location along the east-west shipping lanes, India's security concerns regarding Chinese military buildup in the Hambantota port, and allegations that Sri Lanka has fallen into a Chinese debt trap as a result of commercial financing of BRI projects. There is growing media and policy interest in the entire situation. However, the research is limited due to lack of data of the local information sources. But then we think, isn't that obvious when China is in the lead in the scenario? This is Primetime TV, and today we'll be giving you a picture of China and its plans with Sri Lanka and its Belt and Road Initiative. If this video enlightens you well about the situation, then like it, spread the word by sharing, and subscribe to our channel. In 2022, hundreds of thousands of anti-government protesters came out on the streets of Colombo and occupied the official residence and offices of Sri Lanka's then president, who tendered his resignation after fleeing overseas. This and China's sudden attempts to clean its image of being said earlier to be trapping Sri Lanka with the debt spell or phrases like Chinese debt trap has led people to look into the China-Sri Lanka bond and China's BRI. Another concern has been around the agriculture of Sri Lanka. While English-language media frequently assign the blame to green agriculture, much of the Chinese-language news from outside of mainland China and its state-controlled media place the blame on the Chinese debt trap. Sri Lanka's foreign debt and Chinese debt trap. Sri Lanka's foreign debt as of April 21, 2021, was estimated to be US $57 billion, with US $47 billion coming from international capital market borrowings. Of this amount, 13% is owed to the Asian Development Bank, 10% to China, another 10% to Japan, 9% to the World Bank, 2% to India, and the remaining 9% is owed to other creditors. Due to its geographic designation as the Pearl of the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka receives more international media attention than many nations with GDPs that rank higher than it in the world. It serves as a vital location for China's Belt and Road Project, a worldwide infrastructural and supply chain project. The China Merchants Group received a 70% share in Hambantota port from the Sri Lankan government towards the end of 2017, and China was given a 99-year lease on the port and the area around it. This is the basis for the claim that Sri Lanka is caught in a Chinese debt trap. The deal received extensive coverage in mainstream media. Risen concerns. Two topics were the focus of reports. The first is that because Rajapaksa constructed the Hambantota port using a loan from China, the equity transferred in the sale was actually a debt-to-equity swap. During the 2015 presidential election campaign, opposition parties criticized the port, which had just opened in 2011. Soon after, the port had lost $304 million by 2016, and Sri Lankan authorities turned to China for assistance since they couldn't afford the high cost of loan repayments of $59 million per year. Second, Beijing funded the port as part of its String of Pearls initiatives in the Indian Ocean. Indian politicians coined the term to express their concerns about possible Chinese plans to exert influence in the region through a number of civil and military infrastructure projects spanning from Port Sudan in the Horn of Africa through Sri Lanka, along the coasts of Pakistan and Bangladesh, to the Maldives and the Straits of Malacca, Hormuz, and Lombok. Many Indian critics think that both the China-Pakistan economic corridor and the String of Pearls policy will pose a danger to India's national security. Rajapaksa was heavily dependent on Chinese infrastructure projects and allowed Beijing to incorporate Sri Lanka in this scheme. During his administration, China invested heavily in Sri Lanka's ports, airports, motorways, and power plants, becoming the largest foreign investor in the nation. The Chinese government was alleged to have known from the beginning that the port would never be profitable by the media. When Sri Lanka reached the point of being unable to repay the debt, the entire goal of financing it was to seize the port for China. What now? By 2022, China had started laying the groundwork and influencing public opinion around the world to refute the Western media's claim that China was trapped in a debt trap. But interestingly enough now, It is hardly mentioned at all in important foreign policy news stories in the United States. Instead, since last year, stories exposing Sri Lanka's green farming disaster have been available online. Long-standing diplomatic ties between Sri Lanka and China have developed into an infrastructure-focused economic partnership. Prior to the 2013 introduction of the BRI, China began investing in Sri Lanka's infrastructure and has since continued this trend. In order for Sri Lanka to achieve high-income status, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has established a national policy framework with some focus on an infrastructure-led development model of economic development. Existing Chinese participation projects will undoubtedly continue to be prominent, and additional Chinese investments are being discussed. Based on what we've discussed so far, the crucial development challenge for Sri Lanka is how best to ensure net benefits across the project portfolio of Chinese infrastructure investments. Meanwhile, China's challenge is how to further its reputation as a responsible global economic partner. Policies, thus, must be related to enhancing talent transfers, lowering the trade imbalance, encouraging domestic spillovers, strengthening environmental protection, improving infrastructure planning, and all that while maintaining public confidence. But this doesn't seem to be happening as of now. What are your thoughts on the same? Comment down. And if you found this video informative, then give it a like, share it, and subscribe to Primetime TV to support us.